Hey everyone, this is Mike. Today I'm going to be doing the rotation guide on Dancer, but very quickly before I go into the video, the weekly giveaway of No Ping is still going on my channel for this week, more specifically my Discord channel, so if you want to go and partake in the giveaway, follow the link in the description to my Discord and you'll find all the information that you need over there. Now, going back to Dancer, Dancer is a little bit special because it doesn't necessarily have a standard rotation like all of the other jobs do. Dancer is very proc based and is also very much focused around resource management. That is because a lot of Dancer's gameplay is focused around, is heavily focused around procs even, because you only have a 1-2 combo that is guaranteed. But out of this 1-2 combo, you can get 2 flourishes. These 2 flourishes can generate 4-fold feathers, and these 4-fold feathers, when they are spent on a fan dance, can also proc fan dance 3. Not only that, but both you and your dance partner will also be generating Esprit gauge over the fight, which again, generating Esprit is a random chance to get it as well, and that you'll be able to spend on Saber Dance. So those things make it so that Dancer is going to vary quite heavily from one fight to the other, because one time you're going to be generating procs like crazy, and the other time it's going to feel like you're not generating any procs at all. So that's why the gameplay of Dancer can vary quite heavily, can feel very fun when you're constantly generating new procs and fan dances and the saber dance because your Esprit gauge is feeling like crazy. But on the other side, if you're not getting any procs, it can feel very boring because you're only pressing 1-2, 1-2 because you're not getting any procs. Now, very quickly before we talk about the rotation itself, when it comes to dance partnering somebody or giving someone closed position, you should always give this buff to the strongest player on the team, be it the person that has like the best damaging job, like for example a monk or a black mage, or be it someone that has the highest gear in the team. So basically, just give it to the person that would deal the most damage. The reason being is that your Esprit generation, a lot of people thought that it came from executing GCDs, and it still does, but for that reason, a lot of people thought, oh, give it to the ninja, the monk, or the samurai, because they are like using a lot of GCDs because they have that attack speed buff. But we found out that basically each job generates a certain amount of Esprit per GCD, or it's like a certain percent chance to generate Esprit per GCD. And basically these faster jobs have a lower chance to generate that Esprit for you. So what it basically comes down to is that every single job in the game kind of has the same chance, so to speak, to generate Esprit over time for you. So you're not really going to see a difference from dance partnering the monk, for example, who has like a 2-second GCD, or dance partnering something like a dragoon who has a 2.5-second GCD. Basically, the Esprit generation that they are going to give to you is going to be just about the same for every single job out there. So give close position to the strongest player on the team, regardless of how fast they might go. So other than just like using your 1-2 combo and using your procs, we do have a few things that are set in stone. So we have our standard step. This is a damage buff both to you and your dance partner. We have technical step. This is a rate-wide damage buff. This is a very strong one as well, so definitely make sure you use that one on cooldown. And then we have devilment, which is a rate buff both to yourself as well as your dance partner. Now these are kind of like your 3 buffing skills. The main one that is always going to be up is standard step because it has a 1-minute duration, but it has a 30-second recast time, so standard step is something that you and your dance partner will always have up. This buff also is the thing that allows you to generate Esprit, so you definitely want to make sure that this buff is up at all times. Now other than that, we also have one final skill, which is called Flourish. This will basically proc all of your procs, so to speak. So it will proc your 4 flourishes, the 2 single target ones and the 2 AoE ones, and it will also give you a fan dance 3. Now, one very important thing about flourishes, your 2 AoE skills are higher damage than your normal 1-2 combo. So when you do use flourish, make sure you also use your 2 AoE skills. When you are going to use your AoE skills and your dances, make sure that you're close enough to the boss, because those are all AoE skills that originate from your character. So if you're on the other side of the arena from the boss, you might miss the boss with those skills. So you definitely want to make sure that you're going to be in range to hit the boss with those 4 different skills, that being your 2 AoE skills as well as your 2 dances. So definitely make sure you hit them with that. Now, other than that, Dancer is all just about pulling resources into burst windows and basically just heavily focused around resource management. So for example, I personally think that if you have a team composition that is heavily focused around the 3-minute raid buffs, for example, Bard, Dragoon, Ninja, something like that, if you have those 3 jobs, it might be worth spending all of your 4-fold feathers at the 3-minute mark, even though 3 minutes is technically not a burst window for Dancer, because you have a burst window every 2 minutes. But say you have something like, for example, a Ninja, a Scholar, and a Astrologian, and maybe a Red Mage or something like that, then the 2-minute burst window would be a lot more beneficial for you. So depending on your team combination, you might want to be shifting your burst here and there, depending on the jobs that you do have around you, depending on the raid buffs that you're working with. So with all of that being said, let's get into the actual opener. So I'm going to be preloading my dance right here. Basically want to use it at 15 seconds on the countdown macro, because this will already put it on cooldown, because the cooldown starts as soon as you initiate the dance, not when you finish the dance. So as you can see, my dance is already halfway cooled down again. Then we're going to be using our Devilment to boost not only ourselves but also our dance partner. This will also allow us to use our dance in the opener again, which is very beneficial because it is a very hard-hitting move. And I still had some gauge saved up from when I was just hitting the dummy before, so that's why I was able to use that. Normally you probably won't have enough, or I wouldn't have had enough Esprit gauge if I was just by myself, because it generates very slowly if you don't have a dance partner. And of course I also don't have a team for my technical step, so I don't get any of those benefits either. Gonna be using our standard step, and basically all we're going to be doing now is just using our procs, making sure we don't overcap our feathers, and then once our burst window comes around again, that is when we are going to be using that basically. So over here we have a proc, so we're going to use the proc first before we use our flourish, because otherwise we would be losing a proc, and that's never good. We're going to dance again. There we go, finishing off all of our procs. Every time we get a 4th feather, I'm basically going to be using it, because otherwise we might overcap our feather gauge, and that's not good either. And then I'm going to try and have always got enough feathers up for when our technical step comes around. And I also would prefer to have just about 50 gauge to spend on a saber dance inside our burst window as well. We got a standard step again, and then our technical step is about to come up as well. And here we have our technical. Now we do have 1 proc, so I'm going to be using that 1 proc before we go into this thing right here. Now because of this, I am also going to be using the rest of my combo. As you could see, my combo was already halfway done. So I do want to use that before I drop my combo, because dropping your combo is not good, of course. And then we basically used all of our burst inside of our raid buffs. And that's kind of how the 2-minute rotation of Dancer looks like. You basically pull as many resources as possible for your technical step, and then during your technical step you're just going to be bursting like crazy. You've got all of your procs, you got your 4-fold feathers, and you also have your saber dance ready. As you could also see, I had some procs saved up before my actual things went out. It's important that you use your procs before you use Flourish, because Flourish itself doesn't just give you damage, but it gives you procs. So basically, if you already have procs when you use this, you're just like losing damage. So that's why it's a lot more important for you to use your procs first, and then delay this by like 1 or 2 GCDs, as it's usually not really that big of a damage loss. So yeah, that's pretty much Dancer. I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next one.